Beardy and the Beast Media Club.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. This is a placeholder intro song.
Thank you for joining us for the Beardy and the Beast Media Club, a full spoiler discussion into a piece of media. We will not turn on our friends when a spoiler is revealed. We are available here and on many other platforms with a full list available at beardyandthebeast.com. Give us a like and a share, or join the discussion in the comments below or at our Discord. My name is Drew, and joining us as always is the show's SS Minnow, Devin. Today we'll be discussing 1998's action comedy, The Big Hit. So, Devin, was this movie a big hit or was it a big miss?
I'm leaning at the moment closer to being a big hit.
You don't sound convinced of your own answer.
Well, I think again it's that whole good versus entertaining.
Oh yeah, okay. Plainly,
Yeah,
not a good movie.
no, not at all.
But it's an awesome movie.
It was entertaining as fuck.
I'm just gonna go in right at the beginning here.
Yeah.
I sent you a message before I'd watched it, and I was like, I am actually worried
Yeah.
that this movie is not going to be as good as I remember it. Because as like a teenager, I was like, this is the best movie I've ever seen. Like, I just loved it.
Yeah.
And well, sitting there, like, as soon as it started playing and I got the full 90s of it, I was just like, oh no, this is exactly how I remembered. This is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I had never seen it, but the opening action sequence was just so over the top. I'm like, this is exactly what I want from a 90s action movie. Like just like the bungee cord off as there's like explosions going off and these hitmen going in with like guns ablazing, two guys just sitting there drinking coffee.
Was
Oh
it
yeah, no,
not
they're
Derek
doing
Kramer?
things. Yeah. Yeah, it was just it was a treat to watch. Uh
Well, I mean, I'm gonna throw out a comparison like immediately.
mhm.
Compared to Nobody, this movie knew exactly what it was and just went for it. It
Yes.
didn't try to hide it. There was no confusion. Whereas in comparison, like Nobody was the awkward teenager that didn't know what it wanted to be or what it to do or what to do.
Just confused by the hair growing in weird places.
Exactly. Like nobody had the curse of trying to be too many things at one time, whereas
Yes.
it's almost like The Big Hit went, this is our attitude for the movie and we're just gonna go for it.
Yeah. It was, I mean, again, like a lot of the action movies that we've watched, completely predictable. I knew what was happening. I had to make a note. It's like, thank God, you made it clear she was in university.
Well, I mean, the original script I believe had her as a high school student,
Yeah.
as and someone was smart enough to be like, wait a minute, that's kind of inappropriate. So Kiko Nishi definitely, the story could have been a whole lot different. It could have ended up like that super awkward scene in Transformers 3 where Mark Wahlberg was like questioning the suitor of his daughter and was like,
Mm,
aren't you super old? And he's like, yeah, but we were going out in high school. And it's like, Romeo and Juliet laws. And then he pulls out a card with the law on it. And
yeah.
I'm like,
Yes.
why is this even in this movie?
Well, I mean, considering there are movies made, I mean, at least it didn't go like full on Lolita or anything.
Eh. Well, I mean, the thing about Lolita that was like integral to the story and the aesthetic and what was happening, right? Like,
Yeah.
like that was actually important.
Yeah. No,
Um,
that's very true.
so them, adjusting and making sure that it was like no legit college age, and it it didn't seem like there was any weird like coercion or anything like that. I definitely had a
Yeah.
feeling of some Stockholm syndrome because I had completely forgotten what happened in the movie until she freaking was obvious that she was just like playing her cards, and then as soon as she could, used it to like conk him on the head with the meat tenderizer and try to bail.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to talk about that. That was probably one of the things that actually I thought it was done really well
Mm.
because I was at the point of, basically throwing popcorn at the screen because
Pulling it through.
I'm like, yeah, because it's like we have this, yeah, as you said, Stockholm syndrome, uh, and I liked that they twisted it to have it her just, you know, being clever about it,
Mm-hmm.
and like to the point that literally just before she actually gets freed,
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down as like, come on, she hasn't screamed, she hasn't tried to run anything. And then I was reminded that her feet were bound, and as soon as they weren't screaming and running, and I'm like, okay, I'm good with this. It did make it feel a little bit awkward when, the inevitable relationship happened because it's still kind of that Stockholm syndrome, but
Well, I
I was
mean,
fine with it.
given her personality traits, is entirely possible that she's just as toxic as Melvin Smiley's the other ladies that were
Others,
in, yeah, in Melvin Smiley's life, as seems to have a type, I guess you could say. And
yeah.
I'm not trying to say that Melvin Smiley isn't toxic and has a whole bunch of problems himself, because he obviously does. Like, I'm not
Oh,
placing
yeah.
those relationship failures just on the women, because all that's a 50-50.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it's a 25-25-50 because if you do math.
I mean, she seemed to get him, which is good. I mean, it was obvious that was going to be either she. Well, I mean, guess both happened. She was going to convince him how crappy the others were,
Mm-hmm.
or they were going to be a love interest, and
Did
this
both.
movie went why not both?
Yeah, exactly.
So I I like that. I like how they set up most of the things they set up paid off throughout the film too. There was only two things that I wrote down. It's like, oh, this seems like foreshadowing that didn't pay off.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, it's actually something I
so
kind of noted myself. This definitely came from more a comedic standpoint
mhm,
when it came to the writing. So you have your setup and then you have your punchline, so
mhm.
payoff. So that pacing, even when it came to the more action oriented things or just the general story plots, definitely had more of a comedy writing feel.
Yes, which I think is why the two pieces of things that I saw as foreshadowing when they, or at least I didn't see a payoff for them, I think they stuck out to me.
Mm.
So, for example, some of the payoffs that we have, it's like the father. What was his name again? I can't remember his name now. Um, Pam's dad
You're
having
talking about
like
Morton, Elliot
mm,
Gould?
yes, not drinking,
Mm-mm.
and I knew something was going to happen to it, and my immediate thought was like, "Oh no, he can't have a drink because he's alcoholic." I'm like, "No, that's not where they're going to go with this because it knows what it is. It's a comedy, so it pays off in like right before the climax, right? With them basically stopping Vince and them from shooting up the entire place directly or in like the standoff that they had.
Well, I mean,
So that paid off
overall,
well.
like it prevented it from being as bloody as it could have been. Like it could have
Yes.
been a bunch of people sitting at a table while a bunch of people got shot.
Yes.
Instead,
Right.
nobody actually got hit in that scene.
No, at
Oh
all.
no, the two randos did.
Right.
Yeah, the two hitmen.
Yeah. So, that was a good setup. It was, even the tape. the King Kong tape being set up. It's like, you're just gonna take this from me, right? It was there as comedic jokes. So the two things that I didn't see pay off were brought up right at the beginning. Him going to the wrong house and him like chugging, what was it, Peptol or Malox or whatever it was for like an irritable bowel, like for irritable stomachs.
Yeah, I mean, it might have happened in a rewrite. I imagine. I bet you the original concept of that next door neighbor thing is they originally had uh, a payoff of that where like the hitman went into the neighbor's house.
That's exactly what I was expecting. Like I was expecting them to go to the neighbor's house as he's pulling out and seeing them all there and going, "Oh, I better,"
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like something like that. So it, yeah, it threw me off a little bit. It's kind of I didn't quite. I mean, I guess it was just there for setting the tone,
Mm.
but I thought more was going to come out of it.
I guess the only other thing was like it's not solid and it's not a good explanation of the was
Mm.
it the Malik stuff. The He needed it around the other women in his life, but he didn't need it around Kiko.
Yeah, that is there.
I mean,
But
it's not a great reason. I'm not like it's the only thing that makes sense given.
yeah, and if that's what they were going for, which I mean is definitely a possibility, it wasn't it wasn't clear enough because there's so much action going on
Mm,
around Kiko that when would have had the time? So
or while he
yeah, it
was
wasn't.
maybe while he was getting seduced like a fool. Oh, she played him so well. Uh,
She really did. Did him so well that her and Marky Mark ended up dating for 4 years afterwards.
yes. Yeah, I wonder. Well, while we were talking about the payoffs, I was just taking a look at the the writer and previous stuff that he had written, and it doesn't make sense to me. It's Ben Ramsey, Big Hit, Love and a Bullet, Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh, Dragon Ball Evolution. Oh. That is quite a difference of films.
Yeah, I mean they definitely have different feelings to them.
Yeah.
So it
Um,
did have June Park, which is like
mm,
a real old school uh, K-pop celebrity.
mm, you would know.
I know a thing. I mean, at
I
least
almost wondered if
three
this was
things.
a remake or something with the way it was done as well, eh?
No,
Like,
you know, it kind of has that feeling to me, but I don't think it is. Like, I think it is a unique and original piece.
yeah, but it felt like I was almost thinking like I mean, just some of the Asian action type films. And there's a lot of
Well, I mean,
I remember seeing a lot of
there was
that in the credits too.
there was definitely a tone to it, which makes sense when you have producers such as John Woo.
Mm, yeah,
Hashtag bring back Once a Thief.
that was a good one. Yeah, it's yeah. I'm not sure. I liked it. It didn't. It was just instantly hit my mind. It's like, is this supposed to be something that is pulling from something else? But I couldn't find anything saying that. So
Well, it's just like what appealed to me is from start to finish, the pacing was good.
yes,
The action beats were in the right place, the comedy beats were in the right place. The soundtrack was amazing simply because it was definitely that 90s we're trying to sell a CD.
yes.
So every song was a banger or something, which is a throwback to me now. I'm like, oh yeah, I like this song.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is kind of the end of those of action movies in that.
That kind of
Like,
vein,
this would have been the end of that golden age, like, just at the end of that golden age of this type of action.
like 90s action comedies.
Yeah, 'cause, yeah, it was, like, 98 or something. Complete sidetrack, and I just need to point out how weird it was to see Marky Mark as a redhead.
Yes, that actually messed me up a few times. I was like, wait, where's Mark in this scene? I have no idea where he is in the scene. Then I was like, oh, that's what? Like I
Yeah,
was losing track of him because of that.
it was weird. It's the only thing I can think about like that. Yeah, overall, love the characterization in the film. Like, I knew immediately that like Vance was gonna something was going to make it so they were going to be antagonistic towards each other.
Oh, Cisco and Melvin Smiley.
Oh, sorry, Cisco. Yes, no, Vance was the tech guy. My mistake. I
I
loved
was
that.
the overacting was so perfectly done. Lou Diamond Phillips and Avery Brooks just nailed it, just like hit it out of the park. Lou, Lou Diamond Phillips like constant forehead and eye movements and just over the top. It's like, oh, I've been shot. Bullets, my only weakness. How did you know? And
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
the full on hamming it up. It was
so good.
amazing. It it's funny because not everyone was doing that. So part of me in the back of my mind is going, it's like, how do you not realize he's lying through his teeth? He's so bad at it, just like he is at being a hitman.
I like how for Avery Brooks you got all the best parts of DS9, which is just when like Cisco is like angry and doing
Yeah.
his like Avery Brooks angry voice and angry pacing.
Yeah. Uh, actually, that's one place where I didn't. That was probably one of the few twists that I saw that actually did throw me off guard. Was Avery Brooks Paris being tied to Keiko?
Oh yeah, as a Godfather.
Yeah, that like I knew that they weren't going to get anything when they kidnapped this person. Like I
Yeah, of
just
course.
knew. Like, it was the incompetence was written all over the place, so it didn't surprise me. I did like how competent they were with the all tracing busters.
Yeah, the Trace Busters.
Just like stacking them all up. It's like, and then the other side has like anti-trace busters. Like, what's going on here?
Well, that's another setup and payoff.
Yeah,
Because when he called, he had a Trace Buster and a Trace Buster Buster, and
yeah,
the Keiko's father, uh, Jiro Nishi,
yeah,
had a Trace Buster, and then
yeah.
like one upped in the next scene. So that was even rule of threes thing.
Yes, yeah. Just building up. It
What's this
worked.
to compare this to Nobody again? This is something that Nobody could have really used is more of a clear connection of things.
Mhm.
How do you make the movie tie together? Oh, the the person that they're trying to get money from is directly related to like the big bad. It's a simple connection, and it just ties the story together.
Yeah, and gave a solid reason for Cisco turning. Right now, it's just turning to save face, not necessarily because of anything else. I mean, clearly he had no problem walking over Melvin.
Yeah, well, it was just saving his own skin.
Yeah, and that worked. Didn't need much more motivation than that. It's a big thing. Like I know we've talked about this before. It's like this movie was super tropey,
Oh, love it.
and it was stronger because of it, in my mind.
It definitely embraced the dark side and came out more powerful than you could ever imagine.
One scene I really loved was when they actually dropped off Keiko and the body parts, the bag
Mm.
of body parts, and all. I thought that was farce done to perfection.
Well,
Make
it's just
sure having to juggle everything.
well, again, it's another decision that draws everything simply using the pieces that are already there.
Yes.
So he simply just going like, I'm not dealing with this, we're leaving, we're taking the money, you're the worst. And there's family home, and then it kind of goes to almost like a family comedy.
Mm,
Like there was definitely feelings. I mean, yeah, there's definitely feelings at that point of, mid 90s, the father's trying to juggle everything while putting on like the perfect Christmas.
yes.
And then it ends up
Yeah.
having to order food and all that. And it's just like I definitely had those feelings
Yeah.
in that section. And the movie was just unapologetically 90s, a product of its time, and avoided a lot of things that I thought in memory. I honestly thought there would be like scenes that even I would consider kind of problematic,
Okay.
relics of their times. And instead, it just kind of toes the line. It's a little bit more family
Mm,
friendly in that time.
yeah.
Dro- drops
Yeah.
its
There's.
drops its single F bomb or whatever and preserves its rating.
Yeah. No, I think the only part that. Yeah. No, it toes the line. I think I could see some people having issues with some of the jokes, especially around with Pam and Gene. They're talking about Marky Mark not being Jewish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean
uh,
that kind of stuff was also in, I mean, Friends and
yeah. Oh
uh,
yeah. Well, as I said, product of time, right?
yeah. I'm glad
But
we can say that and not be like, oh yeah, it was the late 50s, product of the time.
we were actually alive.
Oh, I'm not
Um,
that old.
no, because we were actually alive.
Oh,
That's why we can say it's a product of our time. Um, I really liked it when Pam broke up with Melvin right in the middle of the gunfight.
yeah. Were you gonna break up with me? Yeah. Just like people having no idea what's going on. It was so good.
Everyone was surprisingly okay with what was happening.
Well, I mean, they're probably in shock.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of the other girlfriend. Was that Chantel? I think that was Chantel. Uh, I thought there was a lot that could have been happening there. Instead, just kind of became a secondary, yeah, something to move the plot forward as opposed to actually, but not in a way I expected.
Mm. The thing is, she
And one,
definitely had a personality type and styling that was straightforward,
yeah,
uh, complex enough that wasn't flat,
mm,
but not too deep. Um, so what I mean is, from the low amount of lines and screen time that she actually had, you could tell exactly who she was, what she was about. Um, you weren't missing anything about her.
yeah. And I think that's actually why I'm left wanting more of her,
Mm,
right? Because I mean, it would have been a completely different movie, but there could have been a really interesting dynamic in just seeing how the even just the Pam and Chantel are dealing with the fact that he's a hitman. Because Chantel obviously didn't care.
no, at all.
Like, like right from the beginning, steps in a bag of body parts and goes, "Oh, he's kind of cute." Like,
I,
what?
t-
So
I tell you though, one of the problems I have with movies like this is when it's clear a person's partner doesn't have any clue what they do,
yeah,
and that's like kind of the pin in the whole movie.
mm,
Like it made sense in Mr. and Mrs. Smith because they were both coming in at from the same time and they were both thinking they were being covert. So it
I
made
was
sense.
actually going to make the exact same reference.
Yeah, it it
Yeah,
it made it sense in that aspect. But in this case, Pam had no idea.
yeah.
And
Thought there was in computer sales or something. It sounded like.
yeah, that whole like something about computers. Oh, it sells
Yeah.
computers to the homeless.
You'd be surprised how many homeless people need computers. Yeah, and I guess it's too because it didn't like when you do have that not knowing what the other person's done, that whole double life aspect. It's that wasn't quite played up enough around what was happening.
Mm,
Like, it was a thing. He wasn't hiding what he does. He was hiding the fact that he had a girl kidnapped.
mm,
And and but it didn't, like, again, other than that, like, bigger farcical scene, it didn't come up again. He wasn't struggling around it. That's actually something that I will give nobody credit for, was the fact that clearly his significant other knew what he used to do anyway.
I mean, if you remember, it was kind of like a realization in Nobody that the script writing definitely had different ideas on that concept. So it was very
Yeah.
clear at some points that his significant other knew what he used to do, and other points had no idea what he used to do.
Yeah, but at least there were some points around it.
The
Someone had the benefit of just editing that episode, so he might be a little bit fresher on the conversations than I am.
yeah, I can't see anything glaringly obvious where this movie fell short for what it is.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, if we were to compare it as to masterpieces, I mean, Marky Mark's not saying Rosebud or anything, but he is the movie itself, especially within its wheelhouse, is fantastic.
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah, no.
I mean, it does have that problem. Like, had I seen this, if they were to, I guess the major failing is it doesn't want me wanting more movie. It's not like The
Mhm.
Losers, where it's like I want to see another Losers. If we're to go the action side, it's not like Dread, where I want to see another Dread.
Yeah.
This one is very self-contained. In fact, if they were to say, "Oh yeah, we're doing like a pseudo sequel to the big hit," I'd probably groan. I'd be
Yeah.
like, no, leave it as it
I
is.
mean, yeah. But believe it or not, there was a time when movies didn't need to have sequel hooks.
It's true. I miss one shots.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
really
yeah, that's
interesting.
another.
Like this movie was what, like 15 million to make, and came out with like 60 something, or it it
Yeah.
easily surpassed the box office for what it needed to do.
Yeah.
Like relatively to the what it cost to make, it did very well.
Yes.
But I'm wondering, I guess 98 at that point, Mark Wahlberg was really starting to pop off. I mean, it'd be hard to get this cast nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
your big names, you got Mark Wahlberg, Christina Applegate, Lou Diamond Phillips, Avery Brooks.
yeah.
I mean, heck, Sab Shimono is got 122 credits as an actor. Like, I didn't know before I started looking into this movie that Jiro Nishi is an institution.
He Sab Shimono. He looked familiar.
Oh, I'm proud. I'm
You're saying his character
Teenage
name.
Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, of course.
And the TV series, apparently.
Oh heck, even Waterworld. I mean, even if these were smaller parts.
Avatar.
I mean, to quote correct, everyone makes fun of Waterworld, but it made tons of money. It was a huge movie.
I remember watching it. That's about it. I don't remember like, anything from it. Yeah, he was in a lot.
I tell you what, he
Yeah,
was
no,
definitely the star in one of my favorite scenes of it, which I wish had gone on a little bit longer because I felt they could have extended that laugh when he was going to stab himself.
the seppuku.
Yeah, and he's like
That was
belting out
so
that
good.
song, and he gets interrupted by the phone. I
It
felt
was
like
so
yeah, they could have done one more beat of the interruption. I felt like,
yeah. Rule of three.
yeah, it definitely fell short there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a
Uh,
nitpick. That's a nitpick.
yeah. No, it was I'm just like it's like, well, clearly he doesn't actually want to kill himself because he wouldn't be answering the phone.
Maybe he just wanted to make sure people felt the golden spray.
What could possibly be wrong with that with that movie title.
What I really liked is you could definitely see in the cinematography the basis in Hong Kong cinema.
Yes.
One of the ones was when uh, Buddy, and I keep forgetting his name because he was that bit character. I'll find him. Gump was when Gump
Mm,
went and did the call, and when Lou
yes.
Diamond Phillips hears it, he's in the middle of taking a puff of his smoke, and it falls out
Mm,
slow motion, and then as Lou Diamond Phillips' head is turning, you can see the smoke coming out of the mouth, and I'm like,
yes.
this this is definitely. I mean, Kirk Wan being the director.
Not sure what he did offhand. I didn't get a chance. Oh, yeah, no. Exactly that type of film. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and again, that also goes back and explains why I felt like it might have been a a remake
Oh,
of
it
an
could
Asian
be
film.
like end up being something like how Seven Samurai and all the remakes related around that,
Yeah.
or how like um, Once a Thief was rebooted into a Canadian television series. Bring it back.
Yeah. So that's yeah, that explains where that comes from. Uh, I really liked Compass character.
With his
Kind of
like
that.
his actual stutter and inability to recall words.
Yep.
Um,
Made him come across as a bit of an idiot savant
oh, I guess
with like the text on
yeah,
tape.
he was trying to be hard, but
Yeah.
was really just like a techie that was trying too
Yeah.
hard.
Yep. And clearly can't spell too well. Oh god, reading that note was just amazing. Again, that's what made me think that she could have been serious or she could have been playing Marky Mark, was just how she was with that note. It's like,
Yeah,
you want me to read it, not improv it? Okay, improv it. Well, these dick. Was
this
it the.
sexually frustrated whatever's. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, no more improv. Again, came back with the rule of threes with the comedy because all of that played on the tape. He's-
Mm. Well, that was more of a callback because I see the rule of three in that
yeah.
place was the
Um.
first reading, second reading, and then
Yes.
subverting expectations with the third,
Yes.
which was the proper one. And then the callback, which reminds you of these fantastic jokes that easy, easy. Reference something that people already laughed at and they'll probably laugh again.
Yep.
Just don't do it too often.
Well, that's exactly it. And that goes back to the pacing, as you said, right? They didn't let the jokes overstay.
Actually, you know what? This does thinking about it. I don't know what sparked it off my head, but this does bring some a place where I feel that it fell short, knowing what I kind of know about this film.
All right.
I feel like the action scenes could have been better choreographed and better performed. Like there was no long shot combat. It was one move, cut to another shot, one move, one move. There wasn't anything intricate. Um, I mean, there was the breakdance gunfight at the very beginning. That was obviously not Marky Mark busting that out.
Yeah.
But other than that, uh, that's where I feel mostly because of the other like Hong Kong cinema vibes. I feel like there
Mm.
could have been better gunfights or standoffs or better fistfights.
Yeah, because I think this is around the time. Like, I'm just trying to go back through my action history here now. Because there's definitely a shift from some of those longer takes
Mm.
to these quick cuts. And I feel like that was around this 2000s era when that started changing a lot more. So I'm wondering if it's again that product of the time that's when it started shifting.
Mm.
Because I mean, let's face it, it's from a editing stunt standpoint, it's easier to not have those long shots.
True. I mean, they
Actually, I
also
was
have.
watching.
On a smaller
Oh, go ahead.
budget too.
Yeah. And I mean, those long shots are something I like. I actually was watching a Netflix film that came out recently, Gunpowder Milkshake, I think it is, with Lena Headey and Karen Gillan.
I saw, I
And
saw a trailer for that, and it gave me that conflicted feeling where I'm like, that'll be either be awesome or just the worst thing I've ever watched.
yeah, that's exactly where I was. But I'm like, I like Lena Headey, I like Karen
Yeah,
Gillan.
yeah.
Let's see how it goes. And they actually did have a couple of like just those longer fight scenes again.
Mm.
Right. And I mean, it doesn't need to be longer. I mean, just having a nice long 5-10 second continuous shot um type thing for a fight can make a big difference.
Well, I mean, it's something more than just like two moves, and they that video store showdown
Hmm.
with like Buddy had the two knives,
Mm,
and Mark Wahlberg wrapped his hand, and they're about to bust
yeah.
something. And if you were to go back and watch that again, the fight was legitimately Marky Mark towel whipping.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing.
That was again one of the that would have been like the perfect place to have that extended scene that you were talking about as well.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
And I in the back of my head, like now that it's been mentioned, in the back of my head, I was hoping to actually preparing to write. Oh, good, they did an extended fight scene, but they didn't, so it didn't get written down.
yeah. I definitely wish they had, but
Yeah.
uh, and that's mostly because of what it was leading up to.
Mm,
I
yeah.
definitely, I definitely feel like they were going to push in that direction.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like it, because yeah, I guess there's that other standpoint. It makes me wonder that if it was a budgetary thing, because we look at the director, and that is kind of his wheelhouse. Like just looking at the titles of his films.
Yeah, I
So,
suppose.
I mean, like even like so many snips. Like again, just that first explosion as he's bungeeing out of the building. Like that's right out of right out of that genre.
I love it. Just big action.
Yeah.
I was torn on Smiley as a sad sack because they definitely played him up in the beginning. Like he was a sad sack and everyone was taking advantage of him. But then they also paid that off when he was getting analyzed by
Mm.
Kiko of like, no, you're actually doing this to yourself.
I
Um,
really like that she called him out on that.
well, and I just like think about that now in the world of like characterization and filmmaking. That's actually fairly progressive for 98 or 99. Because usually they would just be like, oh no, it's not his fault. Just everyone's taking advantage of poor Melvin Smiley.
Yeah. It's actually that one point that makes me think that maybe she's not going to be complete crap like the other
Mm.
two women were in his life. Or, I mean, to call it out and spell it out that way. It's it's funny because like I know that they kind of went for that sad sack. He definitely did it to himself, and
Well, they did the fact that they called them out on that. They essentially through like one line of dialogue totally destroyed a character trope in such a good
mm,
way. Because that's what always angered me about the sad sack trope. It's always clear that like half of their problems are being caused by them not taking some initiative or them not having confidence in themselves,
yes.
and the fact that that character growth happened.
Mm. One thing I did note for that at that same time is kind of like if this is your personality type, how did you become like this expert hitman?
It was probably to impress somebody. Right.
That was a fantastic line around that too. It's like I'm pretty sure there's a lot of family members to those victims that don't like you very much.
You're just like, oh, what was your take on the inclusion of who is it Danny Smith, the video store guy?
he is one of those characters that, if this film wasn't what it was, would have driven me insane.
100%.
But he fit the tone exactly as it needed to. Again, helped give that payoff for that for the video cassette rental. Yes, this is the thing that happened, and yes, you did get charged extra if you didn't rewind the tape, even though they had a bank of rewinders.
I remember those days.
Yeah. he Yeah, I think in any other film I'd be going, but why?
Well, in a pure comedy film, he would be annoying.
Mhm.
In a pure action film, he'd be abrasive.
Yes.
But the fact that this balance, they can kind of put it in that middle ground.
Yeah.
Especially because he wasn't necessarily abusive. He was just some powerless kid that was trying to act big over the phone
Yes.
and to like walk on people.
Yeah.
I did
Like,
appreciate all the trauma film posters everywhere. Like,
yes. Fits again, can fit the tone. I think I think the video clerk as well. He We actually kind of got to use him as a better measure of growth of Melvin.
mm,
I mean, he's probably the best one because everyone else just leaves, right? But you have him who is again this, you know, squeaky voice teenager working at a video store,
it's like
walking all over
effectively,
this.
yeah, verbally abusing a hired hitman and getting away with it.
Yeah, to the end. To the end, it's like, and I'm never coming back here again. It's like, yeah, it's just that right growth for the character. Uh,
Well, I think
so
the other benchmark they tried was the Malik's stomach re- relief or whatever, and it didn't work in the same way.
yeah,
Like that's the only other reason why I see that they would include that would be as a character growth measurement tool, but the video
mhm,
store kit is a much better measurement of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He worked really well in that regard. So again, I think, which is nice because it means that annoying slash abrasive character actually strengthened the film.
Hmm. I mean, it was bound to happen eventually.
Yeah, law of averages.
I mean, the Flash and the Justice League was the strong point of that film.
No, I haven't watched the Whedon version. I only watched the Snyder version. That was fun.
I mean,
Um,
I don't have that much time of my life that I can dedicate a solid week to watch one film. I'm like, I could sit down and watch the extended Lord of the Rings trilogy and be done sooner than the Snyder cut.
at least it'll feel like it's done quicker.
Ooh, I will sit down and
Oh,
watch that one day.
yeah. Two interesting points that I had. One was like the scene where we first meet Keiko, just like straight up shoots the boyfriend in the back of the truck. I enjoyed that way more than I should have. Like the
Well, I
kid is being
mean,
a douche.
he was being a douche and like effectively assaulting this girl.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this guy who's killed like hundreds of people was the hero of that moment,
Oh, completely. Um,
which is the
I think
payoff on
it
the
was
comedy side of that.
yes. I think I think it gave me a little bit of dissonance,
Mm,
just because they're making him out to be the nice guy, and that was very much just the cold killer side
mm.
response. So there was a little bit of dissonance around that.
Well,
Um,
there was definitely some good acting in that aspect. Mark Wahlberg was definitely able to, well, at least Mark Wahlberg definitely drew a line in his acting. He had Hitman mode and Melvin Smiley mode.
yes.
Like you could even see it in his stare. And I mean,
Mhm.
It's a simple thing, just like partially squinting your eyes when you're in hitman mode, but it makes a big difference when you're subconsciously when you're watching it.
Yes.
So that was what's the word I'm looking for? He purposefully did that. He
Mm,
intended to do that while acting, and in hindsight, like it was the perfect choice.
yes.
I mean, we keep saying Marky Mark, but I actually really like Mark Wahlberg's acting. It's just he got
So do
tied
I.
up in the Transformers movies,
Yeah.
and was the best
But
part of them.
but I mean, gotta remember, we've also got Four Brothers in Fear.
True. And The Departed.
And The Departed.
I think it was
He
American
is,
Sniper,
I think so.
or was it Assassin?
He has been in a lot.
I mean, Four Brothers, one of the greatest movies of all time. IMO.
Oh, I am completely there with you.
Wait, he's gonna be the
Almost
$6 billion man.
yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, he's definitely got. He's in Three Kings too. He's definitely.
Yeah, it looks like the big hit was kind of. Oh wait,
He's,
never mind. He was in Boogie Nights. I was gonna say the big
mm,
hits was really like his breakout role after leaving the visage of Marky Mark. But I mean, he was in Boogie Nights. From there,
yeah,
just kind of
those.
snowballed. Three Kings, Planet of the Apes was actually pretty okay.
Yeah,
Italian
Perfect
Job,
Storm.
Shooter. That's what I was thinking.
Mm, yeah.
Oh, I forgot he was in Lovely Bones.
I don't think I've seen that one yet. I've
Hmm.
been meaning to.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
almost suggest Lovely Bones. I'd rather you watch that as a personal watch
Okay.
without the mind of the analysis.
Hmm. Let's. Yeah, no, we have to just talk about how good Marky Mark is. I mean, you got Ted and you got Four Brothers.
I still haven't seen Ted.
It's a Seth MacFarlane thing. You know what you're getting. Or the other guys, or like he's got a good mix of comedy and action and
Well, I mean, the other guys is in the same vein as this film.
yeah,
So Mark
yeah.
Wahlberg's inclusion of that, like, it makes sense why I felt he was so well suited to the other. Which, if they came
Mhm.
out with, "Hey, we're doing the other guys too," I'd be like, "Heck yeah!" Whereas the big hit, I'd be like, "You know what? Leave that property as it is."
Yeah,
The only way I want to see the big hit remade is as a British goofy comedy.
I could see that, but it would also mean we wouldn't have Marky Mark.
Well, I mean, it probably wouldn't be it if it was a remake, anyways.
Oh, he should be. Big thing that I noted was I want those AR glasses that they had at the beginning.
Oh, the totally existing AR night vision goggles.
Yes.
Yeah, those definitely exist in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, military spec. I mean, they might actually.
Yeah.
I mean, they have
Yeah,
bullets
but
that you,
these were like Google Glass.
but higher tech.
Yeah. Why can't we have these?
It's because we're not allowed nice things.
Yeah.
So I would
One day.
say, even though I have talked very glowing, there's definitely a few places where this movie kind of fell short. There are lots of little small things. Unfortunately, no movie of this genre can ever be perfect.
Yeah.
So in that case, I'd probably give this one a Trace Buster out of a Trace Buster.
Okay. Oh, I think I think I have to give it a couple of different ratings. I think my overall experience of watching the film, I would agree. I think it's definitely 4 successful traces out of 5.
Okay.
Um, but I do have to, as I point out, it's like it's not a good movie. Like, if I want to be objective about it, I'd probably say it's, 3 busted traces out of 5. So, slight difference between them. But overall, I enjoyed it. That makes sense.
I mean, these are arbitrary rating systems. You could say anything and it makes sense.
It's true.
I mean,
But normally I don't see you looking confused while we're recording.
if you I mean, they're so arbitrary. Even Ashley's when we were recording E.T. makes 100% sense, even though
Yeah.
I have no idea what it was. Uh,
Yeah, the only other time I think I've seen you confused with the ratings is when I rated The Little Hours.
no, that's a bit of a trope. With that, this has been Beardy and the Beast Media Club. Join us next time where we discuss Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City. If you like what we do, subscribe, give us a like or a heart, or join the conversation in the comments or at our Discord. We're available wherever podcasts are played, with a full list available at beardyandthebeast.com. Later.